Hello, Twin Peaks students. Today's lesson will be on determining if a graph or a table represents a function. All right? Now, before we get started, let's talk about what's a function again. Okay? A function is, again, when you put a number x into a, let me go ahead and go. Into some sort of machine, okay? So for example, let's say you put a 5 into this machine, and it goes into an equation, and then you're going to get the result of that 5. That's why they call it f of x, represents a function, and you will get a number, all right? That represents a function. As everything you put in there will give you a number. For example, like one more time. Again, this is supposed to be your y. It's f of x now. Okay, so you plug in 5 and you get a 2, that's a function. All right, however, if you plug in a 5 and then you get 2 different answers, okay, like this. You plug in a 5, you get 2, and then all of a sudden you plug in a 5, the same 5, and you got a 3. That is not a function, okay? Meaning that if you were to graph this, you will get 5, 2 here, and then 5, 3 over here. It's overlapping. That is not a function. Here's why that's not a function, okay? I want you to think x like time, and your f of x like location. All right? So a function means that at 5 o'clock, you were at school. That makes sense. That's okay. But why is this not a function? Because when you see something like this, and you go, okay, at 5 o'clock you were at school, but wait a minute. This also says 5 o'clock you were at home. How can that be? You cannot be at 2 different locations at the same time. So therefore, this is not a function, meaning that it doesn't really exist in real life. Okay, you need to put one input, you need to come out only with one output. All right? So again, this is not a function. Okay? So when you are looking at a table, focus only on x first, okay? So like, let's go to number 1 right over here, okay? Let's put this on number 1, all right? So again, you want to focus on time. This one here is location. Okay, this is like f of x, all right? So you want to see if time is repeating, okay? Just looking here, and then you realize that all the numbers are different. You go, wait, -6 and 6, that's a different location. That's a different time, so don't worry, that's a different number. So this one is a function, so you can just write down function. All right, now let's look at number 2. Number 2 has 8 and 8 repeating, so let's take a look, because that can be a tricky question too if they're trying to trick you, okay? I can explain it later. But as you can see, on this time here, 8 o'clock or something like that, you're in this location. How can 8 o'clock you be at this location? So this is not a function. All right, it cannot be overlapping like that, okay? Let's go look at number 3. Number 3 has 2 repeating also, but it doesn't mean it's not a function. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at 4 o'clock, you're at this location. At 4 o'clock, you're at the same location. So I guess that's okay. You can be, this is just a repeat. This is kind of a trick question here. You can just ignore this one. It's just a repeat of the first one. All right, so technically there's only 1 4, okay? And you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how come there's a 10 there? Well, at 4 o'clock, you were home. At 8 o'clock, somehow, 8 o'clock, you went somewhere and you came back, you were at home. So that's okay. The y can repeat, but the x cannot. All right, now let's look at some graphs and determine if they're a function or not, okay? So again, to determine if a graph is a function, it has to flow from time-wise, x-wise. It has to flow from left to right. You don't want it to loop back around. So this one here looks like your time-wise, okay? At certain time, okay, you are moving forward. You see, it goes smoothly. Now, when is it not a function? Is when it goes and then all of a sudden it comes back and loop back this way. Then that won't be a function, because you cannot go back in time, all right? You're not in a parallel universe of some sort, okay? So you cannot go back. It has to go from left to right. It has to flow from left to right in terms of x, which is time, all right? Look at number 11. This one's obviously not a function. Oh, let me write down function here. This one is not a function. The reason why, we just pick any point. Look at this one here, at 1 o'clock. This is 1 here. You were at this location on the y, and then you were at this location on the y. How can it be? Look at it, it keeps on repeating over and over again. Look at it, here, you're here and here, here, you're here and here. So this one repeats a lot. This one is not a function. All right, it has a flow from left to right. This one doesn't flow. Look at this. It goes in this direction, that direction. Number 12, it flows from left to right, even though it looks kind of funky, even though your y does repeat. You see here and here. That's okay, because you can be in this location at this time. You can be in this location at this time. So it is a function. All right, number 13. Number 13 has specific points. Okay, you don't know what's going on here, but you do know what's going here, 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 and so on. All right, so just look to see if it's an overlapping point. And I can see an overlapping right here. All right, at -1 time, you were at -1 and -3. How can you be in these two locations at the same time where -1 was? So therefore, that's not a function. All right, I know it's skipping points, but that's okay because it's not a continuous graph. You don't know what's going to happen in between, but you do know that these 2 points there are repeating time, all right? Number 14 is very similar to number 10. You're just going from left to right. That is obviously a function. Number 15, this is a huge loop. Okay, again, this doesn't exist in real life. It's a cool graph. You can graph this. It's great, but it's not a function. Okay, look, this repeating here and here. All right, at 1 o'clock, how can you be at this location? How can you be in this location? And it's everywhere too. It's over here, 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 and so forth. It keeps on repeating over and over again. In fact, if you think about it, if you're in a time zone, it loops back and forth. All right, so that doesn't make any sense. All right, that is it for function or not function. Thank you.